When I was 7 months pregnant, out to here, and he said, "You are not pregnant, it's all in your head. If you are pregnant, it is not mine. My last name, and do not put me on the birth certificate," is exactly what it said.
Saying I'm not her father because while in the Coast Guard, just before she informed me that she was pregnant.
And you've got 3 kids after that, Mr. McBain. How are you
I
sterile?
have 3 kids after that. It was due to stress. I was under a great deal of...
you were under stress with other women.
This one kicks off like a soap opera. Ms. Chmielewski claims her late boyfriend, Georgie, is the father of her son, Xavier, but Georgie's parents aren't convinced. The drama in this courtroom is about to go from whoa to what?
Ms. Chmielewski, you say you had a loving 5-year relationship with the defendant's son, Georgie, who unfortunately died in a motorcycle accident. You claim the defendants initially accepted your son, Xavier, but now need proof that they are Xavier's grandparents.
Ms. Chmielewski shares how devastated she was when Georgie died, but his parents are like, who even are you? They never knew about the alleged 5-year relationship. Things get even messier when Georgie's parents question the entire story.
I was devastated, heartbroken.
I just making me understand one thing. Why didn't I know about you?
I don't understand why you didn't know about me either.
Okay, that's not an answer.
5-year relationship.
I've never seen you in my house.
Did you ever ask
What a
Georgie
girlfriend.
why you haven't introduced me to your parents?
No, because we were just friends. It was like a sexual friendship that we had for so many years.
Ms. Chmielewski didn't meet Georgie's parents until after his death, making things super awkward. Mrs. Brown admits she had never heard of her. Tensions rise, and soon DNA tests and ghost stories will be thrown in.
Did you call his parents, or you felt like you didn't
No,
know
I didn't
them?
have their
I
numbers.
don't know her. I met her after Georgie passed.
So at what point did you finally decide I need to reach out to his parents because
She didn't. I
they
reached
may
out to
be
her. I reached out to her. Okay, my son is not here. I'm picking up where he left off.
Georgie's friend urges his parents to look into Xavier's paternity. Mrs. Brown decides to check it out after neighborhood chatter won't stop. Then someone mentions Xavier has Georgie's nose, adding even more drama.
I pursued this test is because a friend of Georgie told him, you need to find out if this baby is Georgie. It's other people in the neighborhood must be saying something because he came to me after 2 years. He brought this to my attention. It went over my head.
You told me that he looks like all your other grandkids. But that's what you said. He has Georgie's nose.
My grandkids are biracial.
Ms. Chmielewski says she and Georgie once tried a home DNA test but couldn't afford it. Georgie's parents ask why she didn't come to them, and things get awkward. Even the judge seems baffled by this situation.
He and Georgie was doing a home DNA test a couple months before he had passed, and we couldn't come up with the money. After, I think it was like 5 months, then he had passed away. So then
You should have came to me then.
He was 2 weeks before he turned 1.
Did Georgie accept Xavier? Did they have a relationship?
He saw him a couple times.
5-year relationship, you only saw him a couple times?
Turns out there's another possible father who's also passed away. Ms. Chmielewski tried reaching out to his family for a DNA test, but got no response. Now, 2 families are involved, and things are getting confusing.
No.
Did you ever tell the other guy?
He had passed away when I was 5 months pregnant. He had got murdered. A family member of mine had contacted his family. They did not respond.
So both potential fathers of this beautiful little boy had passed away?
Yes, Your Honor.
So what happened to the parents?
I can't contact, a friend of mine contacted his sister.
Ms. Chmielewski presents a video showing Georgie's supposed spirit near Xavier. The judge and Mrs. Brown look on skeptically. It's funny, spooky, and just when you think it can't get weirder, it does.
And in the video, you can see Georgie's spirit.
I said it looks like a spirit. It said it's like a cloud. We're sitting in the car right now, and my friend is videotaping him and talking to him. And as you can see on the right, there is like this cloudy thing that comes out of nowhere, and my son looks at it, and then it goes away.
Just looks like a reflection.
The DNA results come back.
And Mr. Long and Xavier Chmielewski is 0%.
Judge Lake introduces Ms. Brugger and Ms. Warner, who are already throwing accusations. Ms. Brugger claims her baby was fathered by Ms. Warner's late grandson, while Ms. Warner accuses her of wanting the family's oil money. Buckle up, because there's a sterility bombshell on the way.
Ms. Brugger, you are here to prove to the defendant that your son, Parrish Brooks Jr., was fathered by the defendant's grandson, who was tragically killed 2 months ago in an auto accident. Now, Ms. Warner, you are here with your granddaughter, and you don't believe Parrish Jr. is your great-grandson.
Things heat up as Ms. Warner claims her grandson couldn't have kids, while Ms. Brugger insists he's the father. She describes Parrish's commitment, showing up at appointments, and planning to sign the birth certificate. This is shaping up to be a wild courtroom drama.
We lived together. We were a family. He told everyone my girls were his stepdaughters. He called them his stepdaughters, everything. He was there through my whole pregnancy, all the doctor's appointments, No, he couldn't be there, but as soon as he got out, he was adamant about having the hospital hold on to the birth certificate before they turned it in so that he could sign it.
And then they're arguing about whether the baby looks like Parrish. Yes, it's forehead talk now. Ms. Warner says the baby doesn't resemble the family, but Ms. Brugger insists he looks just like Grandpa. Emotions are high as family members keep adding fuel to the fire.
But to me, that's not his job. He loved the baby, Your Honor, but the baby doesn't even look like him. He doesn't act like him. His forehead's not like, there's nothing about him to tell me that that is my grandson.
My son looks...
No, he doesn't.
Around his eyes, he looks just like him.
No,
he looks like his grandpa.
Grandpa ain't never did nothing for Parrish. Well,
that's what y'all say.
Ms. Warner explains she didn't question paternity earlier to keep Parrish happy while alive. She describes how close they were as she raised him after his mother died. Past family issues are suddenly brought back to stir things up.
Ms. Warner, is all this time, even when the baby was there, did you have doubt about the paternity?
But I wasn't going to say anything with Parrish.
You just didn't want to upset Parrish?
No, I did not want to come between Parrish and that. But now Parrish is no longer. I can say my piece now. Your Honor, his mother died in '85. I'm the only person was there for Parrish. That's why I just couldn't hurt him.
Ms. Brugger says she learned about Parrish's death through Facebook. Talk about a rough way to find out. Ms. Warner claims she was too upset to call, and Ms. Veasley accuses Ms. Brugger of shady past relationships. It's a web of accusations, and you need a playbook to keep track.
I got a phone call from one of my friends that seen it on Facebook. They had just found out that morning too, but you would think me.
I'm grieving. That was my son. I didn't have time to call nobody.
Seen it on Facebook.
So when I'm looking at Facebook at like 5 o'clock in the morning going to work, Grandma, have you heard anything about Parrish? I had just talked to Parrish the Friday that he died at like 10 o'clock in the morning.
Ms. Brugger denies cheating, saying she was just doing hair as a licensed cosmetologist. Ms. Warner claims Ms. Brugger mistreated Parrish Jr. during a visit, sparking arguments over bad choices. This family has layers of drama, and they're not holding back.
First of all, I have a degree in cosmetology, so I do hair. When me and Parrish first got together, there's a guy I've known for years. He's my brother's friend. I've been doing his hair for years. It happened one time I was doing his hair. Parrish came home. He got mad about it. I stopped doing his hair. He never came back over again to get his hair done.
Ms. Brugger calls out Parrish's family for not accepting the baby. She says it hurt Parrish deeply that his family didn't celebrate his first child. Emotions peak as they prepare for the DNA results.
She has came to my house to see my son, maybe 3 times, 4. Every time they have seen my son, me and Parrish packed all the kids up and we had to go to their house. After my son was born, my family was at the house all the time coming to see the baby to the point where we're like, oh my God, go home so we get some rest. He was mad because he felt they were not embracing the fact that he finally did have a kid.
The DNA test proves
it has been determined by this court Mr. Harvey is related to Parrish Brooks Jr. Therefore, Parrish Brooks Sr. is also related to Parrish Brooks Jr.
Okay, buckle up, people. Things are about to get messy. The case of Owens Roe versus Raines kicks off with all the drama you'd expect. Ms. Owens says Mr. Raines left her high and dry while she was pregnant with their daughter, Jaime.
Ms. Owens, you say that after a whirlwind teenage romance and a brief marriage to Mr. Raines, he got you pregnant and then left high and dry to raise your daughter, Jamie, on your own. You say the defendant is fully aware he is your daughter's father, and you intend to prove this today.
Things between these two were like a soap opera. Love, fights, and lots of drama. Ms. Owens says she was a couple of weeks pregnant when she moved back in with her parents because, get this, Mr. Raines came home one night with friends and random girls. Awkward.
Because he was a lying, cheating piece of trash.
Oh!
I was actually 2 to 3 weeks pregnant when I went back and to live with my parents when he left me. This is after him and 2 of his friends had come home about 1 o'clock in the morning with 3 girls and expected me to think they were just friends.
Mr. Raines has his own version, though. He says they were on and off like a bad Wi-Fi signal. He even married her after a miscarriage, but after more back and forth drama, he says enough and bailed.
I was young back in those days. We were off and on. We were young, off and on, off and on. She got pregnant initially, and I married her because I was trying to do the right thing. She wanted to have a miscarriage. Again, after that, off and on, I got tired of it. It got old. And so she always wanted to go back home, so I let her go back home.
Oh, but here's the kicker. Ms. Owens sent him a letter saying she was was pregnant, and his response? Pretty much, nah, not my problem. Honestly, this relationship sounds like a reality TV show waiting to happen.
About 3 to 4 months, I get a letter from her, and that's saying she's pregnant, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I hate your luck. You know, I'm not with you, haven't been with you.
We had a few, not many. About the only time we really did have any connection was in bed.
So you felt like your husband was cheating. I have to ask you, were you cheating too?
No, ma'am, I sure wasn't.
I don't know.
Now it's math time, but not the boring kind. Mr. Raines pulls out a calendar to prove the dates don't line up. He claims they split in August, so there's no way he's the baby daddy since Jaime was conceived in October.
Is that the calendar you submitted to the court?
Yes. Jamie was born July 31st. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is when Clara says she's pregnant.
No, I got pregnant in October.
This is when she said 6 8. So I left in August is when I left. I was no longer, we broke up. I was no longer with her in August.
Ms. Owens is like, nice try, buddy, and swears up and down that he was still around in October. Meanwhile, the judge is probably sitting there like, someone get me Advil.
I come home in October. He dropped me off at my parents' and told them, do something with her. I cannot.
That could have possibly been true. I mean, you were something to deal with.
If you hadn't have been such a piece of crap, I wouldn't have been so hard to get along with.
Maybe, maybe not.
And here's where it gets spicier than hot sauce. Ms. Owens says she got a letter from Mr. Raines while she was 7 months pregnant, and he basically told her to kick rocks. He even said not to give the baby his last name. Ouch.
When I was 7 months pregnant, out to here, and he said, you are not pregnant, it's all in your head. If you are pregnant, it is not mine. My last name, and do not put me on the birth certificate.
No.
I wanted my daughter to have a father like I had growing up. She did not have that.
When Jaime was born, Ms. Owens didn't even call Mr. Raines to say, hey, it's baby time. She went full-on independent mode and gave Jaime her maiden name instead.
And so when you gave birth, did you ask him to be there? Did you say, I'm having the baby, do you want to come to the hospital?
I did not want him around. I loved him so much when we got together that I would have done anything for him. And that love turned to pure hate. And I hated him as much as I loved him.
Meanwhile, Mr. Raines says he paid child support and even tried to be involved, but he claims Ms. Owens made it harder than a math test to see Jaime. Things are heating up, and Jaime's about to speak her truth.
Child support came to me. I get a letter.
By child support, it was not, I could have cared less if I had got any child support from him.
Paid. I took responsibility of her. I have family saying she looks like you and stuff, and I just thought I was doing the right thing, Your Honor. It was not easy with Miss Clara to try to even see her, to have a relationship with.
Get the tissues, folks. Jaime shares how tough it was growing up not knowing who her real dad was. She says people told her all the time that she didn't look like Mr. Raines, and another guy might be her dad. Can you imagine hearing that growing up? Yikes.
Who did you think was your father growing up?
I've had several people tell me all through my life that I didn't look like him, that he wasn't, that there was, the timeline was off, that there's this other guy that when I was 12. I was gonna move with Mr. Raines, and she told me that she was with someone else. I let it go because I thought, well, maybe she just don't want me moving with him.
Jaime says the whole thing was super confusing and painful. She just wants the truth already, because all this she said is giving her a headache. And same, honestly.
Being told that somebody else was my father, that, I've seen what the other person looks like. I personally think I look like the other.
You do. And then 6 months ago, when the man you believe to be your father, you think all this time this is my father, but he's going in and out of my life.
Right.
He pretty much affirms what your mother told you when you were 12.
Yeah.
All right, the moment we've all been waiting for. The DNA results are in.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Raines, you are the father.
This is wild, like a scene from a TV show. When Ms. Robertson was 8, her mom casually told her the guy she thought was her dad wasn't, and pointed to some random guy in a phone book saying, that's your real dad. Imagine having an identity crisis before you even hit double digits. Things only get messier from here.
Ms. Robertson, your world was turned upside down at the age of 8 when you received the shocking news to be your biological father was not. You were informed that the defendant, Mr. McBain Sr., is your father. You've dragged him to court to to prove that today.
Yes, Your Honor.
Things get confusing fast. Ms. Robertson found her birth certificate, and guess whose name was on it? Mr. McBain, who claims his name got put there just because he was married to her mom, and he doubted being her dad from the start.
Why, if he's denying it, why is his name on my birth certificate? Why did he sign his rights away? And Your Honor, I have proof right here.
So this is your birth certificate.
Yes, my name may be on there, Your Honor. However, it's on there because the state put it on there. I had nothing to do with putting my name on her birth certificate.
It gets awkward and funny. Mr. McBain accuses Ms. Graham, his ex, of cheating and even claims she suggested a threesome. He says that's why he doubts Ms. Robertson is his kid, but the drama's far from over.
She was unfaithful. She asked me for a threesome at one point in the marriage as well.
After 8 years old, how were you coping?
I let it go until I turned right before my 13th birthday. And that's when I had told my mother that all I wanted for my 13th birthday was to meet Mr. McBain. She got it for me.
When Ms. Robertson turned 13, she just wanted to meet Mr. McBain. They met for 40 minutes and then he was gone again. She never heard from him after that. Can you imagine how much that hurt?
What do you remember?
It only lasted about 40 minutes, and that was like more than anything in the world for me at that time. And then it was over. After that, I believe I had talked to him a couple times after that. Then all of a sudden, his phone number got disconnected. It was taken out of the phone book. He was just gone, like he fell off the face of the earth.
I'm not her dad.
Here's a twist. Mr. McBain says the Coast Guard told him he was sterile, yet he had more kids later, which makes his claim a bit questionable, though he insists it proves he's not Ms. Robertson's dad.
I'm saying I'm not her father because while in the Coast Guard, just before she informed me that she was pregnant.
And you've got 3 kids after that, Mr. McBain. How are you
I
sterile?
have 3 kids after that. It was due to stress. I was under a great deal of...
you were under stress with other women.
I never once cheated on Miss Graham. I'm not like her.
Mr. McBain said he caught Ms. Graham cheating because of some clothes he found, but Ms. Graham insists they were his clothes. It's a classic "no, you did it" argument, like a reality show where nothing makes sense.
I was working 7 days a week for about 3 months straight and went back home. As I'm walking across the living room, I look over and there's a pair of boots and a coat on the floor and a coat on...
Your Honor, those were his boots and his coat.
I walked over to her room. I beat on the door. I said, I don't know who you are in there, but you've got 30 seconds to get out of my house or you're going to be really sorry.
No.
Things turn cringeworthy. Mr. McBain thinks a guy from one of their threesomes could be Ms. Robertson's dad, but Ms. Graham denies it. Meanwhile, Ms. Robertson is just stuck in the middle, thinking, what is my life?
I believe that the guy that we had the threesome with is actually the father of Miss Roberts.
Excuse me. And who is that?
It was an individual I was stationed with.
Yeah, you were stationed with a lot.
I know, and so were you.
But wait a minute. Other men could potentially be Miss Robertson's father?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. Well, between the Coast Guard telling me I was sterile, the fact that the man's Hawaiian, he's Samoan.
The court reads the DNA results.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. McBain Sr., you are not her father.
This kicks off with a wild courtroom intro. Garnett v. Langston. Ms. Garnett says she's here to prove Mr. Langston is her dad, while he's got some doubts. Both want apologies, and things just get crazier from there.
Ms. Garnett, you and your mother, Ms. Miller, have opened your case to prove to the defendant that he is your biological father. You are baffled because you consider him a daddy and a best friend and state his doubt is unwarranted and demand an apology once the results are revealed.
Mr. Langston sent a text saying he wasn't sure he was Ms. Garnett's dad and told her to ask your mom. It was like a grenade in a family chat and shook Ms. Garnett. But if you think that's bad, just wait, it gets worse.
So this started with a text.
So after almost 2 years of reaching out to my father after visiting him in 2015, finally responded with this message.
So I think your mother blanked me. She was missing around when you were born. I don't want to keep causing you pain, but I have mixed feelings about it. Talk to your mother and find out the truth.
Ms. Garnett visited Mr. Langston at a family funeral, and things were cool until he ghosted her afterward. Mr. Langston admits he always had doubts. His reasons? Well, there's something else.
We live in different states, Your Honor, but we had always been close. I went to visit him in Chicago for a funeral. I was by his side for one of our family members. Everything was great, but when I returned back home, I don't know what happened. He just cut off communication.
Well, I wasn't talking to her like I normally do.
Why?
Because I was just harboring this that she's not my daughter.
At a funeral, Mr. Langston casually mentioned he might not be her father, like it was no big deal. Ms. Garnett was blindsided, but later he took it back. Next, money and DNA tests come into play.
2 years ago, when I was at the funeral with him, he had brought up for the very first time that he thought I may not have been his daughter, which blew my mind. Went on and on about him and my mother's past and all this, but then after he vomited all this tragedy on me, he recanted and took it back.
Bad enough feeling because I seen the fact right away, and I'm not trying to hurt her. I love her.
Money made it spicy. Mr. Langston says he paid child support for over 20 years. There was even an old DNA test Ms. Garnett took, but it was never finished, left like unfinished homework. Next, get ready for heartbreak.
I paid child support not only 18 years, I paid it 20 years.
But when
they
did you
started
start?
sending me checks back for overpayment, $1,700.
So how come you didn't take that $150,000 for a DNA test before I turned 36 years old?
I'll tell you, I had an answer for you.
The text shook Ms. Garnett to her core. She shared how much she bonded with Mr. Langston and hoped their connection meant something. Despite the pain, she wasn't ready to give up. Up next, Mr. Langston gets super honest.
When he sent that text to me, I cried my hardest cry. I was devastated. I felt like he was taking my identity away from me because I've always known I was a Langston. I have so much about my father. When he came back into my life, an adult, it was like a piece of the puzzle was missing.
Mr. Langston says sending that text was one of the hardest things he's done. He couldn't keep lying about his doubts. He even took his first plane ride at 61 to resolve this, his version of a midlife crisis with paternity tests. Then, social media joins the mix.
I didn't want to hurt her. When I had that phone and did that text, it crushed me when I pushed that button because I know what the effect was going to have on her. I didn't want to. But how I'm going to deny how I feel in the inside? How I'm going to do that when I got grandbabies and I want them to be my grandbaby? That'll be the best news I can ever have.
Ms. Garnett posted a side-by-side photo of her and Mr. Langston's dad, and her cousins went wild, saying they looked alike. It turned into a family resemblance debate that landed in court. But DNA results are about to steal the spotlight.
You began to post on Facebook.
After the text message, I did some soul searching. I was just laying in my bed looking through my phone, and I saw a picture of myself. This picture reminded me of this picture of my grandfather. This is Mr. Langston's father. And I noticed some similarities in our faces. I said, "It's my grandfather. Do you see the resemblance?"
Boom.
When it comes to 36-year-old Shauna Garnett, Mr. Langston, you are not father.
Miss Garcia explains that Miss Huffman, who's younger than her and her father, claims to have 2 kids with her dad. Garcia's response? DNA test, please. Things are heating up, and it's getting as wild as microwave leftovers.
Ms. Garcia, you claim that before your father's death, Ms. Huffman, who is 31 years younger than him and 6 years younger than you, and was pregnant with another. You have petitioned the court for a DNA test to protect your father's estate and his name by supporting that he is not the father of the defendant's 2 daughters.
Garcia says her dad was certain these kids weren't his and called out Huffman for getting around. Huffman isn't having it though, and her side is coming in hot.
Well, I'm basically here on behalf of my dad because he passed away about 2 years ago. He was not sure that if they were his or not because she had gotten around.
So the questions that remain have been unanswered. So Ms. Huffman, it's your belief that Ms. Garcia's father did both of your children?
Yes.
Miss Huffman shares she met Garcia's dad at a carnival because nothing says love like Ferris wheels. She insists she wasn't seeing anyone else when her daughter Claudia was conceived. But Garcia is about to drop some Facebook drama, so buckle up.
So take me to the day you believe you conceived Claudia, your older child.
On March 17th of 2013.
And you all were dating, you hanging out together.
It was more like hanging out in the truck.
You would hang out in his truck.
Goof around in the beginning, and then we got into the whole thing on how you get pregnant.
Huffman DM'd Garcia out of the blue about the kids, and Garcia had no clue they even existed. Suddenly, Garcia is throwing out serious accusations that change the whole story.
She messaged me on Facebook and she said that she was pregnant with a child and that she had a 2-year-old daughter, that they were my dad's. And he basically said that yes, that he was messing around with her, but he didn't believe that those were his children. She got around, pretty much said that they weren't his.
Garcia says her dad doubted the kids were his because he caught Huffman getting cozy with the neighbor. Huffman denies it, and things get juicier with talk of a previous paternity test.
And he pretty much told me that one day she was at his house and he couldn't find her, so he went looking for her, and he saw her in the backyard with the neighbor and she was giving him oral sex.
Whoa!
No, it's not.
did her father actually catch you with another man?
No.
Huffman once tested another man for Claudia's paternity before, which adds to the mess. A court employee confirmed Huffman wasn't sure who the dad was. Meanwhile, Garcia did something surprising despite her doubts.
While assisting the defendant, Ms. Huffman, with setting up a DNA test for her and her daughters, she unknowingly admitted that she tested another man in the past. She said that she did not remember if she brought birth certificate with her the last time she tested a man against Claudia, which indicated to me that she truly does not know who the biological father of Claudia is.
Garcia, being nicer than anyone expected, still listed Huffman's daughters as siblings during her father's cremation arrangements. Huffman refused to sign, raising more doubts and bringing everyone to one conclusion: DNA time.
To get the results for my kids, to be able to financially make it with them with their health issues. There's times where I don't even have a phone because I'm putting it in for the kids.
I hope that they are my sisters, and I hope to tell them about my dad and what a wonderful man he was.
And Carrie Garcia is 99.
This past Father's Day, Memphis, Tennessee saw it in them to award me with Community Father of the Year award. The mayor was there and state representatives was there. So Caden will not fall short on a daddy or a father when it comes down to that.
That is great to hear.
Get ready for some real-life drama that feels like a movie. Judge Lake kicks off Lee v. Lee, where Mr. Lee accuses his wife, Miss Lee, of cheating multiple times and now questions if he's really the dad of their 11-month-old daughter. But if you think this sounds intense already, just wait. Miss Lee's backstory is next, and it's got some wild surprises.
Mr. Lee, you say your wife, Ms. Lee, conceived a child after cheating numerous times during your marriage. Now, you claim your family disowned you because of her infidelity, and now your marriage is on the brink of divorce. You petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove that you are not father of Ms. Lee's 11-month-old daughter, Carolyn Lee.
You won't believe how their love story starts, like a mix of romance and reality TV. Miss Lee says they met at a hotel party and felt instant sparks, totally falling for each other right away. Sounds sweet, right? Well, things take a left turn as soon as a Bon Jovi lookalike enters the picture.
I was actually getting ready to go on a date with somebody, and I got a phone call from a friend of mine to come to this hotel party to meet somebody else that actually wasn't even Mr. Lee. And I get there and our eyes met, started talking that night. I heard him speaking a little bit of Spanish and we started making out the whole night. We kissed heavily. The next morning, we exchanged numbers that night as well because we made out the whole night, didn't even remember each other's names.
So just 1 week after this love at first sight moment, things get, interesting. But believe it or not, this Bon Jovi moment was just the beginning. Soon, Mr. Lee's whole family gets involved in the chaos.
She stayed there with me for a few days, and then like the following week, she started cheating on me with a guy she claimed that looked like Bon Jovi. She has...
The following week?
Yeah, well, she said he looked like Bon Jovi. I said he looks more like the Wolfman.
I have a celebrity
obsession. Later?
Yes, I have a celebrity obsession in this guy he looked like Bon Jovi. He's just jealous.
Just when you think things can't get crazier, they totally do. Mr. Lee's family can't believe he's still with her, so they end up disowning him for choosing her over them. And then, just when things seem complicated enough, the couple finds out they're going to have a baby.
I got a little pissed off because, at the time, my family disowned me. I had no friends.
Why did your family disown you?
Because she cheated on me and I chose her over them, and they didn't like that.
Her anymore?
Yes. And I didn't do what they wanted, so they threw me out.
Just because you went back to somebody, they threw you out?
It's messed up, I know, but...
He was spending
all
alcohol.
right.
If you thought pregnancy would calm things down, think again. It just makes things even messier. He's torn between his love for her and the nagging question in his mind. Is this baby even his? But don't think he's ready to give up yet.
When you find out she's pregnant, do you believe the child is yours?
Yeah, at first, she's my wife. If you were in my shoes, wouldn't you believe that?
I don't know.
Yeah, I get it.
I'm not going to sit up here and lie.
She cheated on me before, but I figured why not stick around?
Things had gotten a little better.
Yeah, things
So you felt like trust?
I felt like I could trust her. I felt like that this was my kid.
At this point, you've got to wonder how Mr. Lee has stayed so committed. It's clear he's been through a lot and has high hopes, but this test is going to be the real game changer.
I do love her. I realize people have problems. People do things that they're not proud of. Who among us has not?
Now you stand here after saying you love her and you don't leave her, but now you're saying you're going to divorce her.
The love's still there. We're
going through the motions.
Stay together.
We've decided that the baby isn't mine. We're just not going to stay together.
This part is like a soap opera. Mr. Lee talks about being there when Carolyn was born and signing her birth certificate, saying he's been trying to be a father and a husband through it all. You can feel the tension as he says he doesn't want to live a lie, but it's only going to get more emotional when Miss Lee's mom steps in.
Take your time.
I was there when she was born. I signed the birth certificate
get everything.
So you signed the birth certificate.
I just don't want to live a lie. I want to know if this is my daughter or not.
If he is not Carolyn's biological father, do you know who is?
No, Your Honor.
If things weren't complicated enough, Miss Lee's mom joins in with her own twist on the story. But hey, no one knows for sure yet, and the truth is still to come.
She never saw really any happiness in my household. I feel bad for that. I was not a great mother to her, but she got kind of taken by my mother and my stepfather. They had her most of the time. But she did not see good things going on in the household. She saw a lot of fighting, and so she got into the dishonesty herself, lived what she saw.
Here it is, the big moment that's been building up this whole time. Judge Lake reads the DNA results, and
it has been determined by this court. Mr. Lee, you are Carolyn's father.
Yes, I told you. I told you.
Mr. Miles shows up in court claiming he's the father of his 37-year-old daughter, Christine, who he hasn't seen in over 2 decades. Just wait until Christine hits him with her first question.
Mr. Miles, you are in court today to prove to your 37-year-old daughter, Christine, that you are her father. You admit you initially denied paternity when she was a baby, but are here to right your wrong. But she now wants to prove you are not her biological father.
Things get messier than a bowl of spaghetti when Christine lays out her doubts. He says he's trying to make things right now, but Christine's not letting him off that easy. Next up, he tries to explain what happened way back when.
I don't believe you're my father. My mom says you are not my father. You've been absent for 37 years. Why? Why now?
Your mom said that I was your father. Why she changed her story, I have no idea. But that's not the truth. And why now? I had the opportunity to be able to look for you because I wanted to see who you are and who your family was.
If this backstory had a theme song, it would definitely be a country breakup song. He only found out he owed child support much later, which leads Christine to question where he's been all these years. Spoiler alert, he's got more excuses.
I didn't know about the child support at that time. I was just named as a father.
You were named the legal father. Then makes you responsible for child support. You're just out there, you're dating a young woman, you love her, you all get together, then you break up. You were never informed. When she found out she was pregnant, she never called you to say, I'm pregnant.
No, Judge.
Now Christine starts sharing her side, and it's honestly a tough listen. Just when you think the emotions can't get any heavier, Christine reveals a twist about those child support payments.
I was really bad as a student. I got in a lot of trouble. I went to foster care 4 years. I went through lots of therapy to forget all this, and I'm back today.
But you're strong, and you're not alone, because we're here with you.
Thank you.
And so this was very difficult for you.
Very difficult.
And here comes the plot twist no one saw coming. Surprise, Mr. Miles owes a mountain of child support. He says he got the shock of his life when he found out he owed $28,000 in back payments, right there on his tax return. Next up, she spills about the one time she actually met Mr. Miles.
In 1992, we filed our taxes. Taxes came back, and there's a letter, $28,000 in back child support. And that just shocked me. Like I said, I just didn't have a clue that was even there.
And you didn't try to find out then?
I did.
What did you do to try to find her, Mr. Miles?
Back then, there was no internet, no cell phones. All you had was people that you knew and telephone line.
Imagine meeting your maybe dad for one night, and then crickets. Mr. Miles remembers it differently, saying he thought he invited her to live with him, but clearly they're not on the same page. And just when it seems like things might calm down, the judge brings out a bombshell from Christine's mom.
Well, I met Mr. Miles one time when I was 16. He came to my grandparents' house. My grandparents actually let me go stay the night with him and his wife. I was never told about them until that very day.
I thought we did, hit it off pretty good. I think I asked her if she wanted to come live with us, if that was something that was going to be
willing to take her in as ours.
Right when you think you've heard it all, Christine's mom drops a statement that changes everything. Mr. Miles doesn't seem to care, though. He's convinced they have a bond. Just wait till you hear what Christine says about reconnecting with him now.
Because when we were in the court, she said I was the father. So after that, I assumed she would tell her that I was the father because that's what happened in court.
Why would she name her after his mother? Why would she go after him for child support?
He said he wanted to play dad.
Yeah, I wasn't even with her then.
That's what she said.
He was never with her.
Yeah.
He is still yet to contact her mother since that.
Here's the moment everyone's been waiting for, and it's like the air gets sucked out of the room. The judge reads the DNA results, and the truth is,
it has been determined by this court. Mr. Miles, you are not the father.
Buckle up, everyone. This one's gonna be wild. Miss Collins is here to prove that Mr. Stone is her daughter, Samara's dad, saying he bailed when he heard she was pregnant. Things are already heating up, and we're just getting started.
Miss Collins, you have dragged the defendant to court to prove he is the biological father of your 4-year-old daughter, Samara. You say one day of bliss became a lifetime of hell when Mr. Stone up and disappeared when you revealed to him you were pregnant.
Miss Collins spills the tea on how she met Mr. This is where the plot twist kicks in. Now she's pregnant, and she's got to let Mr. Stone know he might be the dad.
Me and Mr. Stone met on a dating site. I seen his profile. I thought he was kind of handsome, and obviously he thought I was cute as well because he messaged me back. So we had a few conversations until one day we decided that we will meet up. We were drinking. Well, why don't you just stay tonight? You know, you've been drinking anyway. Why don't you just, crash here? So later on that night, one thing led to another, and we had sex.
Miss Collins remembers calling up Mr. Stone, all like, hey, I'm pregnant, and this could be yours. This mix-up only makes the whole situation messier, and they're both sticking to their stories.
I went to a doctor. This was at, I think, the beginning of June. The doctor told me I was about a month long. So I'm like, okay. So after that, I give Mr. Stone a call. I let him know. I said, hey, I'm pregnant, and there's a possibility that you might be the father.
She never said possible.
Yes, I did. I told him I was pregnant, and it might be a possibility that the baby would be his.
Miss Collins says she tried to stay in contact, but Mr. Stone up and moved to Arizona and went off the grid. They both look at each other like, seriously? The mystery of who ghosted who is on, and now everyone's got questions.
Man, so she gave me the call. I was in Arizona. She's like, well, the person I thought that was the father of the baby is not. And then she said, the other person that might have been a possibility to be the father also is not.
2 additional people besides you.
Besides me.
No, I didn't, Your Honor.
Mr. Stone shows up with evidence saying he tried to do DNA tests several times, and guess who didn't show? Miss Collins says she either didn't know or had stuff going on, and now Mr. Stone's got trust issues. It's a classic game of he said, she said, and at this point, they're still pointing fingers.
I get a phone call from the court where she lives at. We show up, can't do the test for whatever reason. They say that they'll be in touch. Well, I go back a second time. I drove all the way up there. Guess who didn't show? Miss Collins did not show. She suggested that we do a at-home DNA test. So I was like, I don't really trust that. I don't know if that's not a doctor, but she said, I'll pay for it. I said, okay.
Miss Collins throws in a curveball. Her daughter Kimara has hypoglycemia, which she claims runs in Mr. Stone's family. The health stuff is only adding to the chaos here, and both are still looking for answers.
A few years back, my daughter, she got sick. Come to find out she's hypoglycemic. Now, that does not run on my side of the family. So what I do, I'll give Mr. Stone a phone call, and he says, yes, I do believe that do run in my family.
Anybody could have hypoglycemia. I'm not the only person on this earth. I'm sure there's a whole lot of us. It doesn't run in my family. Maybe the other guy runs in his family. I don't know.
Dr. Brown Parks swoops in to clear things up on hypoglycemia, saying it could actually be genetic. The doc gives her medical opinion, and everyone's waiting on the DNA test to see who's got it right.
So first off, hypoglycemia is simply low blood sugar. It can happen for a variety of reasons. There's a level at which we just have chosen that below 50 milligrams per deciliter when they take your blood. Most common cause is from people who are diabetic or hyperglycemic. It drops their blood sugar too low. It is indeed.
Judge Lake finally opens the DNA envelope, and surprise!
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Stone, you are the father.
Right from the start, the drama is real, and you can just feel that this one's gonna be intense. Let's just say he's got a lot of doubts, and he's ready to get some answers. So, this witness isn't holding anything back. Mr. Amaral, the surprise witness, says he saw Ms. Nadeau and Mr. McCaffrey hanging out, though he admits it wasn't exactly steamy. So, yeah, the witness doesn't exactly have the smoking gun, but he's just when you thought it couldn't get any messier, Mr. Santilli, the best friend and father of Ms. Nadeau's first child, steps into the mix. Here comes Mr. McCaffrey, and he's not shy about spilling the details. Crowd's in shock, and it's clear this love triangle, or square, is getting harder and harder to keep track of.
You hear this testimony?
Yes.
You admit you were intimate with Ms. Nadeau?
Yes. We're just friends with benefits. We'd hang out, party. That's about it.
So you had unprotected sex? We had more than one time?
Yes, Your Honor. I don't remember the exact date it happened on, but I'm pretty
It started
sure
on his 18th birthday.
Ma'am, if you don't let him testify for himself.
Just when you thought you'd heard it all, Judge Lake got ready to read the lie detector results. Everyone was holding their breath, but with only 2 possible dads left, the stakes just got a whole lot higher.
Ms. Nadeau, you were asked, are there any other potential biological fathers of baby Ariella other than the 2 men who have been DNA tested for this case? That's Mr. Tom Zara and Mr. Tyler McCaffrey. You answered no. And the lie detector results revealed you were being truthful.
Thank you.
Here it is, the big moment everyone's been waiting for.
It has been determined by this court that her father is Mr. Zara.
You want to tell everybody how sorry you are?
This is one crazy situation right off the bat. Ms. McGowan tells the court how, just after her husband passed away, she met Mr. Martin online. But get ready, because this story only gets messier.
Ms. McGowan, you say after the death of your husband, you were trying to find your way, but ended up finding a man on the internet, had sex with him, and 2 weeks later, you discovered that you're pregnant. Now you claim the defendant, Mr. Martin, is without a doubt the biological father of your 8-month-old baby, Caden.
And just like that, Mr. Martin fires back with some seriously shady doubts. Wait till you hear why he thinks he's off the hook.
Mr. Martin, you say there's no way you're biological father, and you claim to have a mile-long list of doubts that will clear your name today in court. One main reason is that you believe the man she's currently living with, who will join us shortly, is baby Caden's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Martin then proudly admits he hasn't done a single thing for Caden because, in his mind, it's not his problem. And just when you think Mr. Martin might start acting responsible, he doubles down.
Mr. Martin,
yes,
you've done nothing for the child?
No, I did nothing. Because some fact, first night we had sex. The first day we met each other, we had sex. The reason why I don't believe it, this is my child, because she's very promiscuous. And when you have sex with a woman first day, that's red flag anyway.
Did you use protection?
No,
No,
Now this is just some wild math Mr. Martin is doing to dodge responsibility. And just when you think he'll finally take the hint, here comes Ms. McGowan with some big proof.
After it happens, and then there's a baby on the way, how you can doubt.
Because there was other men involved. Out of one of the potential men, others.
Okay.
So therefore, I cannot be that one. You know what I'm saying?
What math are you doing? How do you exclude yourself from the number of men that could potentially be her child's father?
She had sex with another guy. Oh my God.
If things weren't messy enough, Ms. McGowan brings out her own evidence with a calendar to back up her claim. But as if on cue, Mr. Brody himself steps up next, ready to share his side of the story.
Yes, I have the calendar of the date.
You do. So you presented a calendar that outlines the date you were intimate with Mr. Martin.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's April 2nd.
Yes, ma'am.
So you're intimate with Mr. Martin on the 2nd. The doctor tells you your conception date is estimated at April 3rd.
And here's where things get even juicier. Mr. Brody jumps in and says he's actually been playing the dad role this whole time. This guy isn't holding back, and it's about to get even more emotional.
I've been there. Tina and I, Miss McGowan and I have been messing around since February. I just pray that he's mine. I really do. Because when he was born, he looked like me. He was a little light-skinned red baby. He had my cow licks and everything. In the NIC unit, when they took him from his mother when he stopped breathing.
Mr. Brody isn't just a maybe dad. He's been fully committed to the role, and it shows. But the stakes get higher as Judge Lake gets ready to address the whole messy love triangle.
This past Father's Day, Memphis, Tennessee saw it in them to award me with Community Father of the Year award. The mayor was there and state representatives was there. So Caden will not fall short on a daddy or a father when it comes down to that.
That is great to hear.
Here it is, the moment of truth that flips everything on its head.
It has been determined by this court. His biological father is Mr. Martin.
That's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up.
Oh man, this is just the start, and it's already pretty wild. And let me tell you, things are about to get even weirder.
Ms. Morris, you've petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove that the defendant is the father of your 1-month-old son, Jackson. You hope these results will save your family because you have 2 other kids together.
Okay, this is just bonkers. Mr. Byram talks about how he found out about Ms. Morris's little secret rendezvous with his own friend, no less. Yep, hiding in the attic. You won't believe the timeline of how long this has been going on.
Me and the dude she cheated on me with were hanging out the night before. We're really close friends. We stayed up all night, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. I wake up probably 7 o'clock. He's already gone. She fought with me the night before so she can leave and stay at her grandma's house. She was over there with the kids. I seen him on the couch. That's when I started banging on the doors and the windows. I go in the house. He's hiding up in the attic of her grandma's house.
You think it couldn't get any messier? Think again. Ms. Morris says she was already being accused of cheating anyway, but what she reveals next about her dates will leave you laughing and cringing.
We were having trouble way before I even slept with his friends. He's always constantly telling me I'm cheating. It's been happening for 4 years now.
He keeps accusing you, so you just go ahead and validate the accusation?
Well, we split up for a month. And he was living down the street at his friend's, and he was dating a different girl, and I was staying in the house with the guy, the other potential father.
The timeline on these hookups is all kinds of messy. And yeah, just when you think that's wild enough, the details keep coming. everything.
You say you are certain he's the father of Jackson. When did you sleep with him?
September 27th.
She could have slept with him the same day.
I slept with him on September 25th. That's why we're here today for the result.
Oh, so you slept with the other guy September 25th?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yep, things keep getting complicated. Ms. Morris says she's been in contact with the other guy's mom, wants to be in Jackson's life if he's her grandson. But of course, Mr. Byram is not too thrilled, and his reaction to this, classic.
Did you tell the other guy, Ms. Morris, that he could be the father as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
She's still talking to his mom about it.
No.
Sending his mom pictures of the baby.
So when the baby was first born, I sent her pictures of the baby because she was asking me how much he was. No, I did not.
Yeah, you did.
About how much, not an everyday thing. It only happened twice.
The tension in their home is so thick you could spread it on toast. Ms. Morris can see this, and things get even stranger after this.
Yes, he does. He shows my other two way more attention than he shows him.
Do you blame me?
You do admit you're having a hard time bonding with Jackson because you don't know.
I still buy him clothes, toys, and do whatever for him, but I keep my distance from him because I don't know if he's my son.
Here, Mr. Byram's doubts are loud and clear. And Ms. Morris? Oh, she's about to spill the tea on some major regrets.
You helped her out the entire time? You came when the baby was born?
I was there.
I
held the baby first.
Did you sign the birth certificate?
No, I did not. I just kept looking at him and thinking about what she did to me, and I just can't treat him the same as my other kids because I know for a fact that those other babies are mine, and I love them to death. I just can't love him full on, love him until I know that he is my flesh and blood. I just can't. Never.
It's apology time, and Ms. Morris really starts to feel it. But Mr. Byram's response? Just wait. It's not what you'd expect.
I can see behind your eyes a lot of sadness.
Yes, Your Honor.
You know you've made a mistake.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you regret the mistake you made?
I regret cheating, but I don't regret my son. I mean, I would never regret a kid regardless of what happened. But I do regret cheating.
You do?
Yes.
This is it, the big moment. And whoa, the truth is wild.
It has been determined by Mr. Byram. You are the father.
Yes. Yes.
When your mother works all day and you've been at home watching TV, when your mother comes home, if she wants to see something on television in her house, that remote goes to her hand and she watches what she wants to watch. Ruling is in.
She said she was in a sexual relationship. That's one. She had the baby and tagged the dude name in the picture. If the baby mom, why didn't you tag me in the picture? She tagged another guy and say she doesn't know who the guy is. Well, why the picture still stayed on your Facebook? And my family had to tell me, oh, you know she tagged another dude name in the picture. I got evidence for that too.
The case kicks off with Miss Capples claiming Mr. Harris is the father of her son and wants him to sign the birth certificate. Meanwhile, his girlfriend is right there, and Mr. Harris denies everything, demanding a DNA test. This drama is heating up fast, and it's only going to get hotter.
Ms. Capples, you say you are 100% certain that the defendant is your 15-month-old son, Jason's biological father, and today he's going to put his name on the dotted line right in front of his girlfriend.
Miss Capples says their relationship was just hookups, and she blames his girlfriend for making him deny the baby. Mr. Harris insists it's not his, and everyone's just dodging responsibility. Just when it seems clear, Mr. Harris drops a strange twist.
To be completely honest, Your Honor, me and Mr. Harris, we were never in a relationship. Let's clarify that now. We were just
sleeping together.
That's pretty much it.
Were you in another relationship?
No, I was not, no.
I wasn't.
You find out you're pregnant. Obviously, you weren't using protection if there's a question that he's the biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Things turn confusing when Mr. Harris admits he heard about the pregnancy, but then didn't hear from Miss Capples for months. He says he started doubting when she dated someone else while pregnant. It's all a blame game, and Miss Capples is ready to show some evidence.
She texted me and told me she was pregnant. Then she disappeared for months.
When she texted you and said, I'm pregnant, what did you think? Are you now with Miss Mayfield in a relationship?
That's when I had got with her in a relationship.
She was around 5 months.
She got jealous of what me and...
What is there to be jealous about? I don't care about you guys being
together. Mayfield, so go ahead.
Sit her down.
Miss Capples brings out a calendar to prove her timeline matches her pregnancy with Mr. Harris. He's confident, but Mr. Harris is still uncertain if he was even with her. It's a mess, and just when things seem clear, it gets more ridiculous.
As you can see, my son Jason was born January 9, 2016. Me and Mr. Harris were intimate for 9 months, all the way up the beginning of May. We started talking around September, Mr. Harris. Like I said, all the way up until the beginning of May. If you go back 9 months, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, bring you to April, and this is the window of conception where my son was born.
Mr. Harris admits he was with multiple women and didn't even know Miss Capples' real name. Miss Capples denies seeing others, but the situation is chaotic. chaos. It's impossible to look away, especially as they argue about who showed up when the baby was born.
Were you involved with more than one man?
No, I was not, and he did not tell me that he was dealing with other women while me and him were talking. So I did not know that he was playing the
Men usually don't tell you. They want to keep
She
getting
went through my phone, text other women back.
Cut me off.
Yeah, that's the time y'all stopped talking. I know, boo. I know the whole story.
I'm sure you do, because you were there, right? And you were there when he was...
You don't even know your real name.
You were.
Miss Capel says Mr. Harris didn't come to the hospital because he was at work. He showed up the next day, but claimed the baby didn't look like him. Things are awkward, and there's a twist about who else was there that's coming up.
Did he get to come to the delivery room?
He didn't have a ride, Your Honor.
I was at the work when she delivered the baby. The next morning, I came up there. When I looked at him, he didn't look like me at all. I had been here, my doubts, but like I say, everybody around town says that she goes around saying it's another guy's baby.
Did you sign the birth certificate?
No, I did not.
Because you did not want to, or you were not even asked to?
Both. I wasn't asked. I had my doubts.
Miss Mayfield, Mr. Harris's girlfriend, was the nurse in the delivery room when Miss Capels was giving birth. Miss Capels says she was spying, but Miss Mayfield says she was just doing her job. The tension is intense, and now the fight's about visitation rights.
What is this about the hospital room, Miss Payne?
I'm undergoing surgery, getting ready to have my tubes tied.
That is my job.
As a woman, I would not want to be in a room with a woman that's having my boyfriend's baby.
Okay, so you were the patient. You work at the hospital, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And then that was where they told you your station or where you were supposed to be? You were assigned to that?
Today, we got our stuff to do. Yes, ma'am.
Miss Capels lets Mr. Harris's family see Jayceon, but keeps him away from Mr. Harris. He and Miss Mayfield are upset, saying she's doing it on purpose. It's pure chaos, all leading to the DNA results.
Miss Capels, you're letting his family members see
close
the
with
baby?
his sister. I'm
like to go out all the time.
I don't
That's the
go
only
out.
reason.
What are you
Because you
talking
could easily
about?
give in to him when he did. He don't have
would
to
be
drive
out
somewhere.
too. You
don't
at
have
home
to.
with the kids. What you
Right.
talking
No,
about?
he don't.
He already-
All right, one at a time. One at a time, ladies. Ooh-wee.
The DNA results are in.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Harris, you are not the father.
Thank you. Thank you.
You didn't sleep with no one else.
Judge Lake introduces Poyer vs. Poyer, with a mom suing her son for $5,000 in unpaid rent. She says he needs to grow up, while he claims she treats him like a servant. This is going to be a wild ride. Brace yourself for some intense arguments.
Ms. Poyer, you have brought your son to court today and you are suing him for $5,000 in unpaid rent and utility bills. You say in your statement that you feel it is time for him to start acting like a man before he becomes a father. You are here today to make him face his responsibilities as an adult.
Ms. Poyer calls her son lazy, and he fires back, accusing her of making him do everything. Their insults are sharper than a comedy roast, and Judge Lake steps in to settle things with her no-nonsense approach.
My son, he's lazy. I'm your mother. I try to do the best that I can for you. You cannot just want to lay around, not want to do anything, not want to help me, take care of the household, or help me pay any bills. You cannot talk to me like I'm one of your friends in the street.
How you say it, but she's the total last person that should even be saying something like that.
Ms. Poyer wants control of the TV after a long day, but her son disagrees. Judge Lake's swift ruling is like a mic drop, but they're not done yet. Things are about to get messier.
When your mother works all day and you've been at home watching TV, when your mother comes home, if she wants to see something on television in her house, that remote goes to her hand and she watches what she wants to watch. Ruling is in.
Ms. Poyer worries her son will mess up his life like she did, but her delivery is harsh. Emotions are high, and the conversation turns into a heated argument about money.
Ryan, to keep making some of the same mistakes that I made, I got high. I ran the street. But there comes a point in your life when it's time to say enough. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I get up at 5 o'clock, be in the house at 10 o'clock. No, you want to come in here, ringing my doorbell 1 o'clock in the morning. That's disrespectful. I get, 2 hours sleep?
Ms. Poyer presents receipts showing her son's minimal payments, while he insists he's doing his best. The argument escalates into a math fight, and neither side seems to have the numbers right.
All I want is for my child just to grow up. But then it was time to come in here. Mom, I didn't get paid this, that, the other. But yet still, you going in there to find your little roll-up to do your business.
You say he did not contribute. You say you have cable bills.
I have cable bill. I have rent.
Ms. Poyer claims her son only worked for 2 weeks, while he insists it was 3 months. The back and forth feels like a ping-pong match. and a witness is about to make things even wilder.
How long did he work this job?
2.5 weeks.
Did you just say 2.5 weeks?
A seasonal job for 2.5 weeks. When you work at a store for a season, that season is always 2 months and longer. I don't know where she got 2.5 weeks from. If you can find me a job that's going to hire me in a store for 2.5 weeks.
How long did you work this job where you were supposed to pay her $50 a week?
For almost 3 months before the season ended.
Ms. Poyer's sister Natasha adds fuel to the fire, calling out the son's habits and blaming his girlfriend. It's chaotic, especially with judgments based on nail polish. It's drama mixed with comedy gold.
My main concern, the reason why I'm here, is because he going out smoking marijuana. He jumping turnstiles, getting arrested. Stupid stuff like that.
The worst thing I've ever done was smoke weed and hop a turnstile when I was 17. Leave it alone. Let it die already.
Okay.
I don't understand.
Smoking marijuana, that doesn't go out of your system right away. So how are you going to get a job if your system is dirty?
Ms. Luciano steps in, claiming she and Mr. Poyer work and contribute equally. The family isn't convinced, and it's a show me the receipts moment as things get even more heated.
We work at the same place.
Oh, you do?
Where?
Tell me where.
I work at a marketing
Show me a
research.
pay stub.
I have many of pay stubs.
Where's your W-2?
I got my W,
I don't even need to be up here. She just turned it to
We both pay rent together because I have a yes, I do in Chase. We go to Chase and I'll show you my
Finally, some calm. Judge Lake praises Mr. Poyer for improving his life and reminds everyone about family support. Both sides begin to listen. The emotional tension is far from over.
Suddenly you begin to live up to your potential. You get a job. You begin to get money paid regularly. Well, what your mother is saying is, why couldn't you do that to help me? And you're doing what you should be doing. And Mom, for that, you have to at least say, this is a good thing.
Mr. Poyer apologizes to his mom for the disrespect, and she breaks down, expressing how much she misses him. It feels like a turning point, but one big decision still looms.
Love you, I love you. I miss laughing with you. I miss crying with you. You know how I used to play with your ear? I miss all of that. May I hug him, please?
You absolutely can.
Do you remember it? This is what I most remember. Give me some nose.
Oh, yes!
This story's got it all. 2 boyfriends, a baby, and a lot of drama. Ms. Harris is stuck between her current boyfriend, Mr. Murray, and her ex, Mr. Donaldson, who both might be her daughter Anaya's dad. The goal? Figure out who's actually the father. Spoiler, this is just the beginning. Things are about to get way more chaotic.
Ms. Harris, you have been caught in a love triangle. There are 2 men in court today claiming to have fathered your 18-month-old daughter, Anaya. Your current boyfriend, the plaintiff, Mr. Murray, and the defendant, your ex-boyfriend, Mr. Donaldson.
Ms. Harris describes how things with Mr. Donaldson went downhill fast. When she got pregnant, he doubted her, then fell for someone else. He barely showed up for any of the baby stuff. Then, just when the drama seemed done, his family jumped in to make it even messier.
From my understanding, we was dating. But then when I got pregnant, he told me he had feelings for another girl. He told me that he didn't want to be with me. So I was basically alone during my pregnancy. He was there during the baby shower. He came to the hospital with his mom when I had her.
So wait, you're dating Mr. Donaldson, you're in a relationship. You all are boyfriend and girlfriend?
Yeah, we were.
Mr. Donaldson's mom was on board with being a grandma until she saw Mr. Murray with the baby. Suddenly, the family pulled away, leaving Ms. Harris to deal with it alone. But things get even weirder when Mr. Murray gets dragged into this train wreck.
I did not find out about it until she was about 5 months, maybe. When he told me about it, I accepted that he was because that's what Chastity stated, that he was the dad.
At what point, Mr. Donaldson, did you say, Mom, I have something I have to tell you?
I didn't even tell her, honestly. I told my father, and my father told her.
That works too when you're scared to tell Mom.
Mr. Murray found out he might be a dad through a message from Mr. Donaldson. He says they used protection, but Ms. Harris disagrees. Despite the confusion, Mr. Murray stepped up when Anaya was 3 months old. Then, Ms. Harris mentioned a threesome, and now no one knows who the dad could be.
So, Mr. Murray, why do you believe you could be the biological father of this child?
One day I was on Facebook and I got a message, Jalen. He told me that the baby could possibly be mine.
Telling you that the baby could possibly be yours?
Yeah, I need to get a DNA test.
You sent him that message, Mr. Donaldson?
I don't recall. I'm not gonna say yes, I'm not gonna say no. I don't recall.
The timeline is a mess. Ms. Harris says it lines up with Mr. Donaldson being the dad, but admits she was also with Mr. Murray. Oh, and there was a threesome in December. No one seems to to remember who used protection, so the court is left trying to make sense of it all. It's like a soap opera gone wrong.
You said your doctor told you your date of conception was around February the 10th.
Yes.
Anaya was born on October 21st, when you were intimate with Mr. Donaldson.
Beginning of February and the end of February, and then we stopped.
So the beginning of January, around here, the beginning of February with Mr. Donaldson?
Yes.
DNA results are in.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Murray, you are not the father.
That's okay. That's okay. That's still your baby.
This is like a reality show gone wild. Mr. Harvey says he spent $496.52 on baby supplies for a kid he doubts is his, claiming they met on a dating app. And boom, she's pregnant in 2 weeks. Ms. Jett wants a paternity test to shut him up. And trust me, it only gets messier from here.
Mr. Harvey, you are asking the court to award you $496.52 for baby supplies you say the defendant, Ms. Jett, demanded for a child you adamantly deny is yours.
The speed of this relationship could give anyone whiplash. They met, moved in, and she got pregnant all in a month. Now, they're fighting over cheating accusations, baby stuff, and even Facebook drama.
So you meet each other, move in together, and get pregnant all within a month?
Yes.
Find out you're pregnant, you tell Mr. Harvey.
And he was so happy.
You were happy when you heard the news?
I was happy.
Because you thought it was your child?
Yes. After she found out she was pregnant, we stopped talking. She moved back to Orlando. She wrote.
Because he was so sexually active with other women. He was cheating on me.
Watching them argue over receipts was like kids fighting over cookies. Mr. Harvey shows $500 in baby expenses, while Ms. Jett complains it took forever for him to buy it. The judge starts grilling them, and it's clear neither of them is backing down.
And this is all before the baby's born?
Yes, but
then you responded back.
Okay.
It took him months and months to buy this stuff. I been asked him for this. I begged for him to buy this stuff.
Is a receipt?
A receipt, and I spent
that I
close
see
to $500 on everything.
A pack and play,
close to what you get.
A pump, bottle scrubber, bedtime wash.
Mr. Harvey's doubts are fueled by a Facebook tag. She tagged another guy in a photo of the baby, and he's wondering why it wasn't him. She says it was an accident, but trust me, it's about to get even crazier.
And she said she was in a sexual relationship. That's one. She had the baby and tagged the dude name in the picture. If the baby mom, why didn't you tag me in the picture? She tagged another guy and say she doesn't know who the guy is. But why the picture still stayed on your Facebook? And my family had to tell me, oh, you know she tagged another dude name in the picture. I got evidence for that too.
The petty fight over money goes to the next level. Ms. Jett claims she paid more for baby stuff, while Mr. Harvey says she's using government assistance. The judge steps in as they argue like it's a ping pong match.
Here's all the expenses that I've been taking care for of my daughter alone. He's suing me for $500. Her diapers is a little less than what he's suing me for, but her diapers are close to what you're suing me for. Her diapers is dang near that money, $500.
Every time you needed diapers, whenever you needed something, every time she called me, I gave it to her, Your Honor.
Mr. Harvey says she asked another guy to pay for an abortion. She denies it, but he insists he saw the text. The judge struggles to keep order as the tension skyrockets.
After she had the baby, she was trying to get pregnant again. She told me she was pregnant or whatever, so I went and got her and stuff like that. And then she had started going through my phone. I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna go through your phone too. So I go through her phone, right? She telling this dude, she said, you need to pay for this abortion.
No, I didn't.
And the whole time she was never pregnant. She told me she was pregnant for me, and then she telling some other dude he need to pay for abortion.
Mr. Harvey's aunt comes in, doubting the baby is theirs, because it doesn't look like the family. She's confident it's not their kid, and the judge isn't so sure. Things are about to get even more dramatic when Ms. Jett's mom arrives.
Looking at my nephew's other children, we have strong genes. And all his brothers look alike, his brother's kids look alike.
And I have
they have the same heads, and our family have big eyes. Xavier and Xavier's family. His children look just alike from different moms. Everybody looks like the Harveys or the Highsmiths. Baby has no genes of us at all. Head shape or anything.
Me, I have strong genes.
Well, that's my opinion.
Ms. Jett's mom says Mr. Harvey promised to care for the baby, and now he's backing out. She's upset, and tensions between families escalate. Mr. Harvey then reveals another shocking reason for walking away.
He called me and told me that Shadeja was pregnant.
I didn't meet.
No, he hadn't met me, but you called me and told me my daughter is pregnant and how I shouldn't worry about you leaving.
I did not know Kim until after the baby was born.
No, you didn't know me.
I didn't know her. I did not know her until after the baby was born.
Mr. Harvey claims he felt unsafe after Ms. Jett threatened him. He says he'll support the baby if it's his, but won't risk it until then. The judge says it's time for a paternity test. Get ready for the results.
I lost my job because I was supposed to go to work that morning, and I came over there. We wasn't even talking. She was in a relationship our whole pregnancy. Called me and said, I'm having a baby. I didn't go to work and got fired after she had the baby, that's when I got to know her. She
Why
is not
would
the person
you be with
that...
somebody that you don't know?
Because the child, I want to be in a child's life, and if that child mine, I want to be in a child's life.
The DNA test is in.
Pertaining to 4-month-old Nolani Harvey. Mr. Harvey, you are not her father.
It's fine. That's fine.
This kicks off like a messy movie. Fewer heroes, more drama. Ms. Narissa Moffett wants a paternity test to see if Mr. Johnson is her real dad. 2 years ago, some guy slid into her Facebook inbox saying, "Hey, I'm your real dad." Mr. Johnson's reaction? Hold up, this is wild. He blames Narissa's mom for making things confusing back in the day. Buckle up, it's gonna get wilder.
Ms. Moffett, you always believed the defendant was your dad until 2 years ago when you received a message from a man claiming to be your biological father. You are tired of the confusion and are petitioning the court for a paternity test to prove the defendant is your dad.
Narissa gets a random Facebook message from a guy claiming to be her dad, complete with a baby pic. She's like, wait, what? She calls him, but instead of clearing things up, it just makes her need answers even more. The drama is only getting started. Who's this mystery dad, really?
2 years ago, he inboxed me on Facebook, was saying that I'm his child, and when I'm looking like, I don't know. And then he had sent me a picture of me when I was like, he was saying that I'm his child and I have 2 other siblings.
I can see you're still shocked.
Yeah.
The message reads, "Hi, this is Lawrence Saunders. Call me because you is my daughter and I've been looking for you."
Mr. Johnson has major doubts. He says there were 2 other guys around when Ms. Moffett was pregnant. Their relationship was basically a secret, sneaking around like teenagers. This is giving serious "who's the daddy" energy, and it's just heating up.
Me and 2 more other guys was, at the time was dealing with Ms. Moffett. I just had doubts that I was her biological father at the time when she was little. I didn't know. I really didn't. I didn't know if I was the father or not, so.
Ms. Moffett reveals she slept with both Mr. Johnson and Mr. Saunders on the same day. Yup, both men could be Narissa's dad, but she thought Mr. Johnson was a better fit. Everyone's confused, especially the courtroom, and they're about to hear even crazier details.
I wasn't sure who was the father because, see, Mr. Johnson, and at that time Mr. Johnson was at work, so I stayed around till he get off work. I had went to one of my friend houses named Mr. Saunders, which I was dating. Basically, I ended up having sex with him that day and Mr. Johnson at the same time. So that's why I'm not sure.
Ms. Moffett admits she kept the 2-dad situation from Narissa her entire life. Narissa only found out 3 years ago and is understandably upset. Her mom says she didn't want to hurt her, but that ship has sailed. Things are about to get even messier.
But Narissa testified that it was just 2 years ago that she was told that there was another possibility. But you didn't tell your daughter.
No, Your Honor.
But you're not telling your daughter that 2 men could possibly be the father.
I told her, that it could be a possibility.
When did she tell you this, Ms. Moffett?
2 years ago. But I just want to get this over with.
Narissa got really sick and called for her dad, Mr. Johnson. He stayed with her for 3 nights, while Mr. Saunders, the other maybe dad, was nowhere to be found. This is straight out of a soap opera, and the courtroom is hooked on every word.
I stayed out of it until Rissa got real sick. Went to the hospital and spent time with her. I said to myself, man, this child is laying up here fighting for her life, really who her father was, and she said she wanted her father there. And he told me, he said, Ron, you need to get to Indiana as soon as possible. We don't know if Rissa's gonna be much around here much more long.
The moment everyone's been waiting for.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Johnson, you are her father.
Yes! Oh my God.
This kicks off awkward right from the start. Ms. Fisher claims Mr. Stewart is her baby's dad, but he's not so sure. Stewart says she had options back then, and he's not convinced. The judge already looks tired, and we're just getting started.
Ms. Fisher, you're here to prove that Mr. Stewart is your daughter Kalia's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
You state that your daughter has a serious medical condition, and it is imperative that you know the father's medical history.
Ms. Fisher is certain Stewart's the dad because they were hooking up when her daughter was conceived. She admits they weren't always careful. Yikes. And says Stewart denied it when she got pregnant. She's here for her kid's sake, but you know this story's got more drama ahead.
Why do you believe he is the biological father?
Because at the time my baby was conceived, that's who I was having sexual relations with.
It was just a sexual relationship, Your Honor.
Did you use protection?
The first few times, yes. A week after we started messing around, she come out, she showed me a pregnancy test. I'm like, it's not my baby.
So a week after you all started having a sexual relationship, she brings you a pregnancy test and says she's pregnant?
Yes, Your Honor.
Wait, they're still hooking up? Stewart says he was over at her place just last week because because he was bored. Fisher's fed up with his excuses, and the judge is too, especially when another guy gets thrown into the mix.
After this is over, did the relationship continue?
Yes, he was just at my house like a week and a half ago.
I mean, I got bored. I got bored, you know.
When you get bored, you go over Miss Fisher's house and have unprotected sex?
Sometimes.
That's smart.
She told me out her mouth that I wasn't the baby's father.
There's another possible dad, Mr. Kern, who even gave the kid his last name. Stewards like, see, told you. And Fisher says Kern just offered his name. Buckle up. Mr. Kern's side of the story is next.
Well, she named another potential father as the biological father, and then another man signed the birth certificate.
Which man is this?
Mr. Kern.
Mr. Kern?
Yes, Your Honor.
There's another man's name on the birth certificate. Is this true, Miss Fisher?
His name is not on the birth certificate, but my daughter does have his last name.
Mr. Kern hooked up with Fisher around the same time, but doubts he's the dad. She lied to him about another kid before. He thought her older child was his, but a DNA test said otherwise. Kern's still salty, and things are just getting messier.
That you could potentially be Kalia's biological father. Were you aware of this?
Yes, ma'am. I'm not denying that I'm not her father. She always been lying to me, you know what I'm saying? Because we already done went through this one time with an older child inboxing each other on Facebook.
It always starts with Facebook, don't it, Jerome?
Fisher drops some serious news. Her baby has a heart problem and might need surgery. Both guys start shaking their heads, saying they have no heart issues, which isn't super helpful. The judge looks like she's had enough of this circus.
The doctor says she has a hole right in the middle of her heart, and she has too much blood going to her lung. And so in 2 months, they might have to do surgery if the hole doesn't close.
Oh my goodness. Either of you gentlemen have heart issues.
No, Your Honor.
Because she deserves to know. She doesn't deserve, I don't want her to grow up 4, 5, 6 years old looking for her daddy and I don't know what to tell her.
The judge is fed up and calls everyone out for being irresponsible. She reminds them this is about a baby's health, not their drama. She's about to drop some hard truths, and honestly, they need it.
When I look at this beautiful little girl and then needing an answer from me that I can't give because I was irresponsible, and now her health may be affected because of that, and the reason why I'm going so hard on you all is because you're still up and you admitted it in court today. It has been determined by this court. Mr. Kern, you are not the father.